If you can hear Bollywood song covers in the background of this video, that's because my parents are watching Saregamapa in the other room, and I don't mind hearing it in the background, so I'm not gonna ask them to turn it down. Hey everyone! So today I am going to be reviewing the Jungle Book live-action Disney movie. So I actually just got back from watching this movie, and I had a lot of thoughts about it, so I figured, why not review it? Okay, so first is the good stuff about this movie, because there was a lot of good stuff. The first thing is the production value. It's a Disney movie, and you can tell it's a Disney movie because of the production value. I've been to a lot of Disney Broadway shows and a lot of Disney things. I haven't been to Disney on Ice in a long time, but still, I remember the production value being amazing. So I expected this, but it was like, Disney never ceases to impress me with their production value on their live action things, whether that's on screen or in real life. And this is coming as someone whose high school had the actual chandelier from Beauty and the Beast in their high school's production of Beauty and the Beast. Just the way it was shot was really cool. Like, you got to see some amazing scenery, and the way the setting interacted with the characters was really nice. And it was really cool to see because it's the Jungle Book, so it's obviously the setting is everything in this movie. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie, the way the characters interacted with the setting, considering most of the characters are animals. So the second thing that was really good about this movie was the kid in it, the guy who played Mowgli, Neil Sethi, and it is Neil Sethi, not Shetty, because I was corrected on this, because Sethi comes from a different region of India than Shetty. Things I've learned. A lot of people have criticized his performance from what I've seen, but I thought it was really good considering he was mainly acting against blank canvases that were later CGI'd into characters. I thought it was really impressive, and he was pretty strong. I really enjoyed his performance, and I thought he was really cute. He was a really cute kid, and that counts for a lot. Another thing in casting that was great about this movie was Ben Kingsley as Bagheera. Holy crap, he was good. Like, I think Ben Kingsley is amazingly talented. Obviously, he's Ben Kingsley, but Ben Kingsley as Bagheera was fantastic. Like, he was really, really good. I can't imagine a better Bagheera now that I've seen him as it. And the last thing I want to talk about that I really enjoyed about this movie is a bit of a spoiler, the ending. In the end, Mowgli stays in the jungle versus in the original animated version, where Mowgli gets seduced by a girl and goes to the town. I really like that they didn't go in that direction this time. I liked that he kind of stayed in solidarity with the jungle, because that's kind of the point of that, like the whole movie was kind of leading up to that, the fact that even though it seems like he doesn't belong, he really does. I think it was a good way to end the movie by not showing that final scene that we see in the animated movie. I should say that I have not read the original Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling, but I have read other Kipling stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was in the original book. Let me know in the comments if it was or it wasn't, but I thought the choice not to include it was really smart, because a lot of people would have been pissed about Mowgli being seduced out of the jungle by a girl when he's like an 8-year-old or something. I would have had a problem with it. I hated it. I hate it in the animated version, so I really like that they didn't do that, and I thought it provided like a good happy ending, which is what Disney's good at. Disney's good at breaking our hearts and giving us happy endings, so there's payoff. And now, on to the bad. Like I said before, I had a lot of thoughts about this movie, so there was quite a bit of stuff I didn't enjoy. It kind of comes down to casting. The first thing I want to talk about in the bad section of this video is pronunciation. As someone who's Indian, I know how to pronounce most of the words that are Indian. In this movie, there aren't many, but the few that there are, I wish they worked with a linguist for 5 minutes to know that the word mother is not pronounced Ami, but Ummi. Like, that's not a very difficult change. It's just me, Ummi. Every single time Gray said Ami, I just winced, and I was like, no, it's not how you say it. If you're doing a movie that takes place in India and you have Indian words, pronounce them correctly. That's like the least you can do. That was really, really frustrating for me to hear words being butchered when you have a setting and a main character, and all of the characters actually, but I'll get to that later. It takes place in India. They've grown up in India, all of the characters, no matter if they're animals or if they're humans. They grew up in India. They know how to pronounce the Indian words, or they should. So the fact that Ummi wasn't pronounced correctly, the fact that Ga wasn't pronounced correctly, now I can't pronounce English words. No, you have the money, spend 5 minutes, hire a linguist, let them know that mother is pronounced Ummi and not Ami. Let them know that it's pronounced Ga, not Ka. Like, honestly, like, that took me out of the experience so much that I felt the need to make this video. Kind of going off of that, there was, so Christopher Walken plays the orangutan who sings Be Like You, and I'm a fan of Christopher Walken. I think he's talented. I've watched his SNL clips many times. There was like a day where I marathoned all of them, or as many as humanly possible, starting with Cowbell, obviously. But he was solidly in his like Italian, like heavy Italian, like mobster gangster accent, and at one point he was like doing a Marlon Brando impression, and that also took me out because it reminded me that this isn't the orangutan who wants to be like Mowgli and who wants to be a man. No, this is Christopher Walken acting as an orangutan who wants to be like a man. That's one of those things that I hate when actors do, when they become so known for something that like it's distracting, that they feel like they have to do it in everything that they do, and it becomes about the actor and not the character. I just dislike that very much, and it was very distracting to me, and it took me out again, because it's like you're in this magnificent like Gujarati style Indian temple, and I say Gujarati style because it looks like Rani Ki Vav, and you're talking in an Italian accent and saying you're the king of all these monkeys? Like, I don't believe that. I don't buy it, and it takes me out of the storyline again. And it's just super distracting to me. And another thing that was distracting was Scarlett Johansson as Ga, because I think this is more on me than on Scarlett Johansson, unlike Christopher Walken's bit. But when I hear Scarlett Johansson's voice, I think, oh, that's Scarlett Johansson. I don't think, oh, that's a snake who wants to keep Mowgli to herself and maybe squeeze him to death. So like when you're in that moment in the movie where Mowgli is just hearing the voice all around, I'm like, when's Scarlett Johansson coming out instead of Ga? Oh my god, it's Ga. And additionally, when the character doesn't know how to pronounce their own name, takes you out. It really, really takes you out. It's not pronounced Ga, it's pronounced Ga. I just didn't think they needed the big names of Christopher Walken and Scarlett Johansson, because at this point Christopher Walken is better known for being Christopher Walken than for any of his characters. And I think the same goes for Scarlett Johansson, especially with her voice. Her voice is known for being her voice. So, especially her voice. So it takes you out when you hear that voice, and it doesn't seem to match the character. I think Scarlett Johansson could have played a great Ga if her voice wasn't so iconic, which sucks to say, but also, I'm kind of sick of her. I'm kind of sick of her acting as Asians. And that gets to casting in general in this movie. So when I first heard about this casting, I was very against it, and I continue to be pretty against it. I went and saw the movie, I paid for tickets, and I wanted to be convinced that they made the right decision in casting all non-Indians except for Ben Kingsley, who was half Indian, and Neil Sethi. I wanted to be convinced that that was fine, and it wouldn't affect the movie, but it so clearly did. And that comes from, again, the pronunciation and the fact that you're taking massively known actors who are iconic at this point and putting them in roles where they're using their own iconic stuff instead of the character's iconic stuff. The reason I was against it in the first place was because, well, you're doing a movie that takes place in India and you're not using any Indians. Like, I'll level with Disney here. I get it. I get using big names. And The Jungle Book did make a lot of money. But, economically, it makes more sense to cast Indians. So if you casted relatively unknown Indian actors who are in Hollywood trying to make it big, it would have been much, much cheaper to hire them. And you still would have made just as much money because you guys are Disney. Everyone knows you're going to put on a great film and it's going to be fantastic. If you just cast a couple more, maybe relatively unknown, maybe known, you could have cast Mindy Kaling and Aziz Ansari and Priyanka Chopra. If you cast them instead of maybe Scarlett Johansson and Christopher Walken, and even Idris Elba and Lupita Nyong'o, it would have been more economically sound for you to spend a little bit less money on Indian American actors or just Indian actors, and maybe spend a little more money on a linguist. And also, you would have made just as much money, so the bottom line for you is better. Spend less money on labor and equal amount of money earned, or profits. I watch Shark Tank. For me, it would have made sense to cast Indian actors, but I mean, obviously, it didn't for Disney, and it made more sense to cast very, very well-known actors. And yes, actors of color, like I said, Idris Elba and Lupita Nyong'o were in this, but like, why? If you're doing a movie that takes place in India, doesn't it make sense to cast Indian actors who know how to pronounce the words already, so you don't even have to spend money on the linguist, who can speak perfect English like all Indian actors can, do the work well because they can. Have you seen Priyanka Chopra in everything other than Quantico? So kind of stepping away from that, the other thing I wasn't a big fan of in this movie was the lack of music. There was a lot of background music that was very much like Bare Necessities, but they didn't sing Bare Necessities, and also so then when Be Like You came, it was a complete surprise because they hadn't sung Bare Necessities at all, and also it felt very jarring, and again took me out because it was like, oh, I thought you guys weren't going to do the musical stuff. I thought you were just gonna have like a little bit of background music and just like leave it at that. But then all of a sudden there's this one like pop of song that didn't really fit. I love the Jungle Book's music, but I don't think they used it in the right way in this movie necessarily. So overall, what did I think of this movie? I thought it was meh. So I expected the things that I talked about. I expected to be disappointed by the things I was disappointed about, and I expected the production value and the good things about the movie to be good. The only surprising thing there was for me was the ending. So I thought it was an okay movie. It's nothing like massively wrong with it or anything, just my personal issues with the movie that stem from bigger issues. It wasn't my favorite live-action Disney movie, and I'm sure it won't be, considering Beauty and the Beast looks amazing. I wasn't like overjoyed by it or anything. I'd give it like 2 stars out of 5, but like I really wanted to expect more and get more than I expected because I wasn't expecting much. That's how I felt about the Jungle Book live action. But however, uh, I've heard that the Indian version of the Jungle Book, the Bollywood version with Om Puri, is supposed to be amazing. So I'm gonna go watch that now. I will see you guys next time. Bye. It was the fact that like, oh my god, they're playing my favorite song. Okay, back to my frustration.